Shabbat Shalom, friends. It is great to be back with you at the end of another busy week. Here we are all gathered together trying to find a little peace and a little balance in a very unbalanced world. And we're glad you're here with us to join us on the journey. If you're here with us on Zoom, you can find a link to our Siddur, our prayer book, in the chat. And if you're with us on Facebook Live, on any of our watch parties, or on the Temple page, the link is in the comments section. And of course, if you're on live stream, right below the screen, you can find that link. Maybe you're joining us on the big screen on Roku or Apple TV or Fire Stick, figuring it all out. Very exciting. Wherever you are, however you're with us, we're glad you're here. I'm going to start with a meditation to help put us in the mood before Cantor Berlin and Rabbi Berlin lead us in a nigun. These are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. We join now in music, lifting our souls and our spirits as we welcome Shabbat together.
Yalla, la, 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 ya, la, 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 ya, la, 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 ya, la, 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 ya, la, 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 ya, la, 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 ya, la, 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 ya, la, 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 ya, la.
We welcome Shabbat with lights. Charlotte Pollock is going to lead us in the opening prayer, and then we'll share in the blessing.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Please join me in Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava u'v'ratzon inchilanu zikaron le'maaseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim ki vanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava u'v'ratzon Hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Ryan. We continue now with Kabbalat Shabbat songs, Psalms of Praise to God.
Let us sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Fanav bitoda bizmirot nariya lo ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 Sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
ready now to welcome the Sabbath bride and sing Lecha Dodi. When we reach our last verse, Ba'iv Shalom, we rise if we're able, and we set our minds and our hearts to welcoming that bride and also to our wolf sanctuary and to a time in the future where we are all together physically, not just spiritually, once again. And so as we sing with all our hearts and souls, so that mute indication lights right up, we know that we are united together with hearts and spirit, and that we really do welcome Shabbat as one.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur achad hishmianu el hameyuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nercha ki mekor ha'beracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh v'nafsha tefila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki ma'orech kumi ori. Uri, uri, shir daveri, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala gam besimcha u'b'tzola toch emunei am sedula. Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela.
We invite you to turn your cameras on if they're not already. We're going to unmute everyone just for a few moments so we can wish each other a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hello.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Good to see you all. We'll greet each other again at the end of services, but for now, we turn to page 145 for Chatzi Kaddish, and if you're standing, stay standing through the Shema.
Yitkadov yitkadash shemei Rabba, amen. Ve'amad yivrach irtei v'yanich malchutei b'chayechon uvyom echon uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael b'gala b'gala uv'izman kariv v'yimeru, amen. Yehi shemei Rabba mevorach לעולם עולם העלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, יתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה, ויתעלה שמי קודשה בריחו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעמה ויאמרו אמן.
We continue on page 147. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokma potach sharim, uvitvuna mishatim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakira kirtsono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Ma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid imloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. In each age we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment we are addressed by the world.
In each age, we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment, we stand face to face with truth.
In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder.
In each age, the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. Please join me in Ve'ahavta on page 150. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'otecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha Hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, v'valachtecha v'aderech, uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha, u'kshartam leot ayadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha, u'chtavtam, המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים אלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
On page 151, we worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound.
Before our eyes, there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul.
When will redemption come?
To everyone what we claim for ourselves.
Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom.
ונאמר כפרענו את יעקב, וגאולו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
On page 153, give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 154, Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני
We rise for the tefillah on page 155.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftav Adonai Sfatai Tiftav Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha Ufi Yagid Adonai Sfatai Tiftav Adonai Sfatai Tiftav Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora Elyon Gomel Chesdim Tovim V'koneh hakol V'zocher chastei avot v'imahot U'mevii geula livnei v'neihem Lema'an shemo be'ahava Melech ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah Atah gibor le'olam Adonai Mechayeh kol atah rav le'hoshia Morid hatal, mechakel chaim bechesed, mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofeh cholim, u'matir asurim, u'mekayem emunato, lishenei afar, milchamocha bal givurot, Unido melech, melech memit u'mechayeh, u'matzmiach Yeshua, v'neman atah lachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yalalucha salah, Baruch atah Adonai, HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We continue on page 160. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. On page 163, we continue with Hoda'ah, our prayer for Thanksgiving. For the good in us which calls us to a better life, we give thanks. For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise. For the desire in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful. For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shincha ulecha na'eh lehodot. And we continue with Shalom Rav, our Birkat Shalom, our prayer for peace, with the English on the bottom of page 164. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael. Bashalom. Having prayed for peace in the world, we now pray for peace, a more personal peace, a peace of healing and strength and wholeness for those who struggle with illness, with anxiety, with uncertainty. In addition to those who are on our healing list, we think about those in our own lives, those who we have on our mind and keep in our hearts. And we take just a moment to pause and picture them, whisper their names out loud. As we join together in singing Mishaberach, we think not only of those in our own lives, but all those in our country and our world who are struggling with COVID-19, all of us who are impacted by this world pandemic. Join us in our prayer for healing.
And let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mikol habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Please take a moment for your own silent prayers. Shalom, shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru Shalom.
Shalom. As we transition into the Torah portion Akev, Moses continues the speeches that he started in the previous Torah portions as he reminds the Israelites of their covenant with God, both the things that God promised to them and the things that they promised to God. This reminder gives them a recap of their 40-year journey in the desert, but warns them against becoming overzealous and arrogant after they get to the land that God promised them. Moses says that they should remember that God didn't give them the land for free or that they will defeat everyone. They have to remember their end of the bargain. Moses continues by reminding the Israelites of their flaws over the years, the times they rebelled and ignored God. Moses finishes the same theme. Keep up your end of the covenant and God will too. During the last iteration of Moses' reminder, it says in the Torah, cut away, therefore, the thickening about your hearts and stiffen your necks no more. Some translations say, circumcise the foreskin of your hearts. When we think of language that the Israelites at that time would be familiar with, they knew about circumcision from the physical procedure done to the males. Does Moses really mean to say that we should undergo surgery and remove part of our heart? No. Think about it. When an 8-day-old baby boy has a circumcision, the life event is milah, or as many of us say, a bris. This literally means a covenant of circumcision. And when we call it a bris, we are focusing only on the covenant part. This ritual of circumcision is definitely a physical marker of being Jewish, but it's not the only reason it is done. In fact, the Torah expressly says that a circumcision is a sign of the covenant between God and the people. When Moses talks about the circumcision of the heart, he is talking about this covenant with God. It is focused on the growth that we need in ourselves to be able to fulfill this covenant. So then what does circumcising the heart actually do? How are we to understand it? Rabbi Sheldon Blank, a former Bible professor at the Cincinnati campus of the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, explains that an uncircumcised heart is a closed mind. In biblical understandings, as well as many rabbinic ones, the heart is not of what we think of it now, meaning that circulates blood and that sometimes we use as a symbol for emotions, specifically love, but instead the heart was seen as an equivalent to the brain, an organ of understanding and knowledge. Rabbi Blank explains that by circumcising the heart, we are taking away the boundaries that are blocking out our ability to receive new information and be receptive to it. Once we have this awakening and realization that we need to put away our boundaries and listen to one another, only then can ideas actually take place. Rabbi Blank derived this idea from the book of Jeremiah, where it uses the same phrase of cut away the thickening about your hearts. But later in Jeremiah, it goes even further. Not only is an uncircumcised heart blocking out the ability to learn new things, but it blocks out morals. Jeremiah understands that this kind of heart can be defined as moral insensitivity, one that allows us to act cleverly, connive to cheat others, take advantage of them, oppress the poor, homeless, and hungry, and turn away from those who require healing and health. By leaving these walls up around our heart, we allow stubbornness to take a front seat and wear blinders in order to ignore those around us, focusing only on ourselves. This is so easy to do right now. We are isolated in our homes with the people we live with, and we can say, oh, what's happening in X location is so terrible. That person's situation is so heartbreaking, and then go back to whatever we were doing. Being in our homes, it is so easy to focus inwards, but this is precisely the time when we must look outwards. Each week in the weekly announcements, Ross Helfand, our social justice coordinator, shares a list of Tikkun Olam activities to help make our world a better place. Many of them are things that you can do in complete isolation, not coming into contact with anyone outside your homes. So how many of us have actually looked at that list or thought, how can I help someone today? I think it is important to pause and say that I'm not trying to guilt any of you into doing anything or to make you feel guilty about dealing with internal struggles, decisions, and overwhelming situations and emotions. Instead, I want to encourage us to go beyond ourselves, to circumcise our hearts and not be so inward facing. There are so many needs that no one can keep track. However, there are some really tangible ways to help people. Please look at that list or any others, including the Compassion SA alerts that go out, and find something to challenge yourself, to help others, to go outside yourself. However, this isn't just where it ends. Going and helping others is a huge part of who we are as Jews, and we are told to evaluate ourselves, to work on ourselves, to improve our. As we near High Holy Days, this is what we are striving to do, but it should not just be for one time a year. In our society today, we see how many people hide behind their screens, typing scathing things about and to others without being concerned about the consequences, meaning the impact it might have on others, the impact it could have on their future, and the ability for it to never truly go away. You all know at least one person who has done it. Maybe it's yourself. Personally, I may not write things actually out, but I know that I will make comments to family or friends about other people's posts or comments. This text reminds me that I shouldn't be doing that because I'm not engaging in an open dialogue with them. I'm just making judgmental statements. I think we can agree that we all do this, whether it is someone we know or someone we see on TV that we judge. It's human nature. It will happen. At the same time, commentators say, we can't just sit back and say, it's human nature, and continue with our behavior. We could shut down our Facebook and Twitter accounts, turn off the TV and say, easy, I'm done and I'm improved. But our commentators take it a step further. Rashi explains that in order to let God's wisdom enter the heart and be open to the words of Torah and those around us, we have to work on ourselves. He explains that this of the heart comes from neglect of ourselves and those around us. So in order to remedy this, we must constantly study, self-scrutinize, and perform ethical and ritual mitzvot. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi, a commentator from the land of Israel who died in the year 275, explained that this thickening of the heart is a symbol of our Yetzer Hara, our evil inclination, which causes us to only think of ourselves. We can never fully get rid of the Yetzer Hara, Yetzer HaTov, our good inclination, to balance out the evil or to be more present than the evil inclination. In order to make this balance happen, we need to cut away pieces of the Yetzer Hara to let the Yetzer HaTov in. Besides scaring the Israelites into behaving with words that remind them of a physical manifestation of their covenant with God, Moses uses these words to encourage the Israelites to maintain the covenant with God and make themselves better people. As we were not standing there during Moses' speech, we are not excused from this statement. In fact, the opposite. We should all strive to circumcise our hearts, allowing for honesty with ourselves and with others. Circumcising our hearts is not about a physical procedure, but a difficult and painful practice to open our hearts to others, to God, and to ourselves. May we take the time to circumcise our hearts by fixing ourselves and helping others. May we use our hearts to be open to their opinions, ideas, and knowledge. May we use our hearts to be sensitive to others, leaving self-centeredness behind. May we each understand that this is not an easy task, but it is well worth the risk and pain as it allows us to connect to others, to God, and to ourselves in many different ways. May it be God's will. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We continue with the concluding portion of our service. Alinu is on page 283. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
As we prepare to share in words of Kaddish together, I invite you to be seated, and I offer meditation number 3 on page 289. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our life burns down in gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives, we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. On this Shabbat, we consecrate the yard sites observed this week of Shelley Altman, Bert Balbert, Esther Baloff, Israel Barenblatt, Rachel Barenblatt, Arlene Burler, Dr. Wallace Bloom, Irvin Bornett, Melissa DePere, Joseph M. Davis, George Duchin, Eliza Fisher, Ruth Cohen Frisch, Mignon Gabay, Tenny Gons, Ruth L. Glasgow, Carrie Green, Morton Greenberg, Florence Gross, Milton Guggenheim, Ann L. Hayes, Vera Hubaum, Howard Honingblum, John Huddleston, Peggy Kaplan Eisenberg, James Callison, Perry Pete Callison, Yale Kalmans, Vera Cates, Judith Crape, Madeline G. Landsman, Isadora Levinson, Robert Livingston, Svetlana Lubishevskaya, Richard S. Madden, Meyer Margolis, Irene Paltrowitz, Sam Pearl, Professor Reinhold Sylvester Petting, Jack Benjamin Pollock, Rolando Joseph Polson, Daniel Rafkin, Betty Lou Rice, Edith Reamer, Francis Rifkin, Louis Ricklin, George Ringel, Milton Earl Robinowitz, Raquel Chayet Ronay, Ann Rosenblatt, Sam Saknowitz, Isaac Sack, Hyman Sachs, Sylvia Saltzman, Herbert Sirota, Helen Schaff, Marvin Shelton, Henry Louis Solomson Sr., Sam Strauss, Arthur Strelke, Isidore Arnold Victor, Rove H. Weil, Marilyn Westheimer, Joseph M. Westheimer Sr., and Edmund J. Wolfe. To their memories, we link the names of 5 who in the last 30 days Shloshim have been laid to their eternal rest: Lynn Penner, Lou Ann Price, Karen Jane Wagner, Tamara Senshin, and Estelle Prissy Kaufman. To their memories, we link the names of 2 who this past week were laid to their eternal rest, their families observing a period of Shiva: Jean Croft, mother of Leslie and Robert Rubin, grandmother of Lindsay and Jason and Rachel Rubin, and Nellie Ambrose, aunt of Dennis and Kay Stein. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for blessing, along with the memories of those who we keep in our hearts every day. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we rise once again, one congregation, to share in the words of the mourners' Kaddish together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agala u'v'yizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnoseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei d'kudashah breichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. Our closing song is Ein Kelohenu on page 322. You may be seated.
Ein Kelohenu, ein Kadoneinu, ein Kemokeinu, ein Kemoshienu, Micheloheinu, Michadoneinu, Michemokeinu, Michenoshienu, Norel Eloheinu, Norel Adoneinu, Norel Emokeinu, Nodel Emoshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adoneinu, Baruch Mokeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adoneinu, Atahu Mokeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We invite you to turn on your camera if you're with us here and greet each other. You can write a note in the chat if you want, or on Facebook if you want.
Shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, y'all.
Hey, Lindsay, good to see you.
Oh, welcome back from Spain.
Shabbat shalom.
Yes.
Get out, guys.
Have a good week.
Have a great week, everyone.
Good week.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Jen and Brad.
Oh,
Hi.
hello.
Danny and Marcia. Hi, Esther and Bernie. Hi, Terry. Hi, Mel.
They were.
Hi,
They were. Yeah.
Anna.